In the last few videos, we have built the base for working with Ansible. We have set up an Ansible Docker container, connected it to our remote machines with SSH keys, and even pinged the machines listed in our inventory file. Now it is time to move forward. So, in this video, we will start configuring our remote machines with Ansible. We will do this by creating our very first playbook and writing some simple tasks inside it. As we go along, we will also explore the official Ansible documentation. This documentation is well organized, filled with examples, and it will show us how almost any task can be automated as per our needs. If you missed my previous videos on Ansible, I recommend you to watch them first, because the code we wrote there will act as the foundation for everything we build here. And toward the end, we will also take care of this Python warning by making a small change in our Docker Compose file. So let's get started. As of now, we already have a few important files in place. We have a Docker Compose file and a Docker file to build and run our Ansible container. We also have an inventory file which lists all the remote machines we want to connect to. Also, we have prepared a small script to run our Ansible commands. The reason we use this script is to avoid typing long commands again and again, which makes our workflow faster. Along with that, we have our keys directory where the SSH keys are stored. This directory is directly mapped to the containers.ssh folder, so that Ansible can use those keys to connect securely to our machines. If you need this setup, no need to worry about copying anything. I've already shared a GitHub repository for all the previous videos, and for this one as well. There you will find every script and files available. Now that the base is ready, let's move ahead and create our first playbook. First, I will create a directory and name it Playbooks. This will help us to keep all of our playbooks organized in one place. Inside this directory, I will create a file and name it main.yml. But you can name your playbooks anything you like. A playbook is simply a YAML file where we can create our plays. Each play defines what actions should be performed on which hosts. So let's open this file and start writing our first play. Every play starts with a hyphen, and then we add a key called name with a colon. This name will act like a short description of what this play does. It is important because the name will actually show up during execution, which will give us a clear idea of what is happening. In my case, I will name this play as Prepare Systems. Next, we need to specify the hosts. For this, I will set it to all. This means it will run on every machine defined in our inventory file. Now, if we look at the inventory file, we have device name like prod1, prod2, and prod3, and all these devices have a common group called prod. We can choose any of these, either by naming individual machines or by selecting a group. We can even list multiple names. But for now, I want us to run on all machines, so I will just set it to all. Since we are going to update these machines, we will need sudo privileges. That is why we will add the parameter become and set it to true. This will make the play run with elevated permissions. However, we have not yet given Ansible the sudo password, so we need to define that. There are many ways to provide passwords securely, but for this demo, I will keep it simple and mention it directly in the inventory file. In my case, all three machines share the same sudo password, so I can keep it simple and mention it once under the group variables. The tag we will use here is Ansible become pass, followed by the actual password. If your setup has different passwords for each machine, you can handle that by defining them individually under each host. In Ansible, the values you mention directly inside a host will override the ones defined at a higher level, like a group. A useful trick here is if two machines share the same password and one has a different one, you can keep the common password under group variables and then simply override it for the specific host that needs a different value. For me, all three are the same, so I will just provide it under group variables. Now let's head back to our playbook and start defining our roles. Roles help us to group related tasks, files, and configurations so we can reuse them easily. Since we want to create a task for preparing the systems, I will create a role called Prepare. To set this up, we first need to create a directory inside our Playbooks folder and name it Roles. Inside this Roles folder, we will create another directory with the same name as the role we just defined in the playbook, which is Prepare in my case. Within the Prepare folder, we will create another directory called Tasks. And inside this directory, we will create a file and name it main.yml. If you feel like it's too many folders for nothing, it does look like extra steps at first, but this structure is important. Ansible expects this exact format so it can automatically find and run the tasks without us having to manually point to each file. This main.yml file will now contain all the actions we want Ansible to perform. If you add more roles later, only the role name will change. The rest of the structure stays exactly the same. Now that our folders and files are ready, let's proceed and start defining our tasks. These tasks are the individual steps or actions that will be executed on our remote hosts. But they are a little different from just running a command in the terminal, because Ansible handles them in a structured way and provides feedback during execution. If you want more details or examples, the Ansible community documentation is a great choice. For this demo, I will start with something simple. There is one task we often need to do, and that is updating all the machines. Manually updating all machines is time-taking, but we can easily automate this entire process with Ansible. To do that, let's head over to Google and search for Ansible Community Documentation. Open the first link from docs.ansible.com. When the page loads, scroll down on the left panel until you find References and Appendices section. The first link is Collection Index. Click on it. Here, you will see all the collections that Ansible provides. Let's open the Ansible.built-in collection. Here you will find all the modules included in this collection. As of now, we are interested in the APT module for managing packages on our machines, so let's open that. On this page, you can scroll down to see all the parameters available for the APT module, along with detailed explanations on the right side. Now to update the APT cache, you can use the update cache parameter. And setting it to true is equivalent to running apt get update or apt update. There is also an upgrade parameter with options like distribution upgrade or full upgrade, and you can check the details for each. At first, this might look a bit confusing, but if you scroll down, you will find many examples for different scenarios. Since we want to update the cache, I will scroll down and copy the example for that. Now let's paste it into our tasks file. You can also change the task name to something simple. I will name it Run APT Update. These names are shown while the task is running, so you can see which step is executing and its status. This is really helpful when your playbook starts to scale, because if something fails, you can quickly see exactly which step caused the issue. If we look at the task structure, it follows a pattern. Each task starts with a name, then mentions the collection and module it belongs to. In our case, that is the Ansible.builtin.apt module. We have set update cache to yes, but we can also include multiple parameters in the same task if needed. Let's see how we can do that. If we go back to the documentation, we can find another useful example. Here we can see a parameter called cache valid time, which is set to 3,600 seconds. This means the cache will only update if it has not been updated in the last hour, which saves a lot of time when we are running the same playbooks repeatedly due to some reason. Most of it looks the same except for one extra parameter called cache valid time. So let's copy this to our tasks file, and while execution we will see how this saves time. Now when we are done updating the cache, we can upgrade the remote machines. So let's create a task for that as well. I will go back to the documentation again. Here we can find another example for this as well. This task is equivalent to running apt dist upgrade on the remote machines. Everything else, like the module and parameters, is same as our previous task. Let's copy this task and paste it into our file. Now you might be thinking, why we are not defining this upgrade in the same task. Technically, we can, but it is not a good practice. Keeping tasks separate with clear names makes it easier to track what happens during execution. If something fails, we can immediately see which task caused the issue. At this point, we have two tasks ready, one for updating the cache and another for performing the distribution upgrade. Now let's run our Ansible container and check if it can successfully update the remote hosts. But before we run our script, we need to make a small change so that we execute the playbook instead of just pinging the machines. Let's open the run.sh file. If you look closely here, we are running docker exec-it, which means we are executing a command inside the Docker container named Ansible in interactive mode. This is the part we need to modify. We will add a hyphen after the word Ansible and then mention Playbook. The part that says ping all machines needs to be replaced with a path to our playbook. At the end, the inventory path remains the same. I will also rename the script to configure.sh since it better describes what this script is doing. Now let's run configure.sh. As you can see, the container is now up, and it first shows the plain name, Prepare Systems. Then the task starts running, and it is able to connect to all the machines in the inventory file. We will deal with this warning later, but for now the connection works. Next, the task we created for updating the cache starts executing. This is running parallelly across all 3 machines, so it might take a little time. That is exactly why we use the cache valid time parameter. So if we run the script multiple times within an hour, it will not update every time. Now that it's done with the cache update, it is upgrading the distributions. This also takes some time. You can see it is already done for 2 machines, while 1 is still pending. And now it is complete for all 3. At the end, it is showing a play recap for all of them. There are 2 tasks that has changed. And now the Docker container is being taken down as the script finishes running completely. Let me expand the terminal so we can see the full output. Here, you can notice a warning about the Python interpreter. To fix this warning, we need to open the Docker Compose file, and under the environment section, add a new environment variable called Ansible Python interpreter. Then copy the path from the terminal and paste it here. This should resolve the warning. Now let's run the script again. You will notice that the cache update and distribution upgrade complete almost instantly because everything is already up to date. And there is no warning this time. The cache update runs quickly, and the distribution upgrade shows everything is already up to date. All tasks came out as okay, and nothing was marked as changed. This demonstrates Ansible's idempotent feature, which means it can detect the current state of the system and only make changes when necessary. Running the same playbook multiple times will not make unnecessary changes. So this is how we can create an Ansible playbook and organize tasks to automate our systems. If you want to see how I automate deploying and maintaining my entire home lab, you can watch the next video where I will go through each section step by step. Let me know in the comments what you think of this video. If you run into any issues related to this, you can also join my Discord server for help. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more such contents. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.